You're in and out.
All right, we are live. Welcome to the Nilvah Nexus. James the Idol Smasher at gmail.com is my email address. If you'd like to join in the conversation, please join the Nilvah Nexus on Google Plus and on Facebook as well. Every Thursday, we gather around here on the Google Plus YouTube Live network and talk Torah. And you're welcome to join in as well. We'd love to have you. Mishpatim is the Mishpatim, I guess, is our Torah portion of the week. If you're tuning in for the first time, a Torah portion is a portion of the Torah that we study on a yearly cycle. Every week, it's a different portion. And our topic of the week is about communication, primarily the fundamental basis of Dinim, our positive commandment, if you will, of the Noahide Code, is to set up fair and balanced courts of justice. That being, communication is key, bringing discourse to in a positive manner, so that the discourse can become fruitful and something good can come from it. So I wanted to discuss that mainly because, not that I don't like my company here on Thursdays. I don't think anybody here would complain about that. But at the same time, sometimes I would like to engage Noahides, and I would like to open the room up to, I've been inviting folks from the Google Plus Noahide B'nai Noach group past few weeks, and I'm going to keep doing that. But I have a beef with Noahides, and when Pathav Avraham posted what he did in his group, and then I put it in the Nilvah Nexus as well on Google Plus. If you join in, you'll get to see it. He talks about a study they did and experiments that they did in regards to giving a reason for discourse between a group of people and how he worked it out, how he talked through it, because that's really is the basis of the whole thing. I mean, hard evidence, yeah, on a court, but when there's a discourse and this person did this wrong here, no, I didn't do that wrong. There's extenuating circumstances. Whatnot. You can work that out in conversation, as long as you know that there's a representative there of something higher, of a greater justice. That's what judges are. So I wanted to discuss, maybe as a basis for this evening's discussion, is how does one deal with that when you get a beef with somebody, which I have a beef with a lot of people in the Noahide community. When you have a beef like that, how do you overcome it? How do you reach out without inviting, missile fire? How do we do that? How do we reach out? If we're the ones, if it's up to us to do it, if it's up to you, universal you, whoever's watching, and you have a discourse with somebody, but you'd like to heal it for the greater good, because you got to move on with stuff. How do you do that? How do you go about? I understand that, you've got to cap the ego a bit and humble yourself, but at the same time, I don't want to get hurt, and I don't want to start, problems. I don't want to make it worse than it already is in dialogue. So something I thought maybe we could talk about, tonight when you have a discourse. How do we, what are things we can do as Torah lovers, non-Jew, Jew alike, Israel and Goy? What does Torah teach us about bringing discourse?
Well, I would start saying that we should put clearly what our rules are and have it well moderated in the discussion group, or the discussion as they're coming here. It's like we're not looking for trollers, we're not looking for converters. This is the way it is, and there are certain rules or you will be knocked out. You'll be warned and all that. And
well, you're breaking up a bit there, Rosalie.
I'll come back.
Okay, Gav also here, so it depends on the situation. Sometimes, you can solve it one-on-one, sometimes through a mediator. I always thought that, when you look at a Jewish court or a Torah-based court, really any dispute can be brought there, whether it's dispute that one is in violation of the 7 civically, but personal disputes as well between 2 individuals, 2 landowners fighting about where the fence is being put up.
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily apply so easily in Noahide law. There's no harm. There's no hard firms in Noahide law as far as damages or what we'd call. I'm trying to think what the word is in English, and my brain is failing me. That's okay.
What is it? What is it in Hebrew?
It's several different things in Hebrew, but it's not. Property. No, not property law. Damages. Damages.
Libel?
Civil disputes. You don't really have codes of law like that for Noahides that are that extensive and go into it. But I mean, and theoretically, if 2 Noahides are having a land dispute, as long as it's not clear that any theft has been committed, there's not a whole lot of an issue. I mean, it could just be worked out, I guess through the normal courts. I don't think you would need a special court for that.
Welcome to the room, Ross. Shalom, shalom.
Hello, Russ.
Can you hear me? Shalom.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
I can hear you real well. We were talking about, we dove head first into the topic. Gav was just saying, Noahide law really doesn't have a lot of detail about how, for instance, a land dispute between 2 non-Jews, and there's not really in there for, he was saying there's not a lot in Noahide law that would constitute the need of a court to bring it out. Of course, topic, communication, the foundation of Dinim.
Where is this what?
Gav, can you say that again? I was just trying to catch Ross up.
There's not. I mean, there's not whole sections of law that apply to disputes that apply to Noahides as they do with Jews. I mean, in theory, yeah, of course, the disputes exist, but there's not like a real firm, fleshed out way of adjudicating them for Noahides. In theory, I'm not aware of any that do this, but I don't see why you couldn't. If Noahides are having a dispute, you could probably have it heard before a Beit Din, even though would be pretty unusual. But I don't see that there'd be any prohibition with that.
No, but this is just over land disputes.
It was
land business, this and that. Be surprised.
Aside from bringing a civil law, a Noahide law, like he was saying, and you can have disputes. For instance, divorce is settled in a Bet Din, or Best Din, which way to pronounce it today. But how can we use this? How can we use what's taught in Torah? I say we should aspire to Jewish courts.
Be very careful what you wish for.
The theory seems to work better.
Yeah, here's the thing. The people that sit on a Beis Din can be very, very learned, very, very ethical, very, very integrity-minded people. Or not, just like regular courts. So be careful what you get and understand that things can get kind of heavy-handed at times, depending upon what's going on.
Well, on paper, it seems to be a much more complete system.
Oh, it is. It's very complete, but it's all. I mean, people like, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to sue you and take you before a Beis Din. Okay. Again, be careful what you wish for. This might not turn out so well for you if they don't find in your favor. So you may find yourself being compelled to, okay, well, you're in the wrong here. You need to sign over this parcel of land to this guy. And at that point, you can't say, "Oh no, that's not the outcome I want." Okay, you wanted to take it before a court to have it adjudicated and have it decided. They've ruled on it. It's done. This is what you have to do. Okay, so that's not like it's just like regular court. You don't like what the judge says, you don't get to say, "Oh no, I'll take my chances elsewhere." No, it's done. The gavel has been slammed down. You're done.
Well, I would think that potentially there's not a lot of room for that to happen. I mean, I know it can happen, but for the most part, if a surveyor has come out and marked a parcel of land and a bill of sale is executed and those boundary markers are clearly stated in that bill of sale, there should be little room for any dispute.
Yeah, you'd think. People are crazy.
That's true. Now, I do know that people are capable of making mistakes, surveyors included, and that recently has happened. I just read about an instance, I think in California somewhere. A guy bought a piece of property, started to build a house, and he took cinder blocks and glued them or whatever, cemented them to his next door neighbor's driveway, halfway down the middle of the driveway, claiming that the map that he had showed that this man that had been living here for 25 years, half of his driveway was in somebody else's property. They had to go to court and find out which surveyor screwed up, of course.
I was bringing up land dispute as an example of a dispute that might not be laid out in this, that wouldn't be laid out necessarily in the 7. Yes, murder, theft, adultery, I get that. But when it comes to other things, disputes,
stealing,
bringing communication. I was discussing earlier. I was, I like more Noahides in on the conversation, but how do we bridge a gap? How can we settle this kind of a dispute that's going on when it should be an open conversation, a good conversation, a fruitful one, even when you disagree and there's friction. Friction is good. What does Torah teach us as humans, Jew, non-Jew alike, on settling disputes? It's a universal process. It's a universal law. We should be eye to eye on this one, in my personal opinion. I understand Noahide law allows for, but if we had if we lived in Spain, couldn't we take it to the Rambam, or couldn't we take it to, a rabbi as non-Jews to say, settle this for us? We hear that you are just people, yada, yada. Yeah. If not, what do we get from Torah that helps us be better communicators in the face of dispute? Go ahead, whoever that was. Go ahead.
I was saying, sure. I mean, in any case, I don't care what it involves, you have to bring evidence. And as long as the evidence is not circumstantial, if it's provable, then you have a case.
This is going to sound weird, but I was thinking of a process of conversation that could prevent a best-in or the need for one. I don't know if you saw in the Nilvah Nexus Google Plus, Path of Avraham posted a video actually in the B'nai Noach Google Plus group on Google Plus, and I copied it over to us over there, and it was for me personally compelling because it was all about settling disputes via communication and properly expressing yourself. And it was an experiment they followed, and it was neat, far from all-inclusive. And he was saying this is the foundation of Dinim. do we have, what do we, okay, let me ask you guys this. What do we have in Torah? What picture can we get from, what can we glean from Torah to paint a picture of what it would be like to have a court, even for non-Jews, in a perfect world? If Israel was founded and everybody's home, it's like one Torah cop for 10 people, right? Something like that. And in the Messianic era, it's going to be like one Torah cop to 10 people. I don't know.
Possibly, but I'm having a trouble. A dispute is a dispute. It doesn't matter who you are, Jew or non-Jew. And if you're going to go to court, you're going to have evidence, period. Possession is 9/10 of the law, anywhere. Okay? My coat, my hat, my car, my house, my land, my whatever. Possession is 9/10 of the law. You almost always have to have some sort of a deed to prove your claim. A marriage certificate says you're husband and wife. A title to your car says it's yours. The insurance policy with your name on it says it's yours. The deed to your house, okay? The title to your house,
Right.
The land that it sits on. Everything that your name is on is some form, some that it is attached to you. It is your possession. You can get a divorce and annul the marriage certificate. You can choose not to drive for the rest of your life and let your driver's license elapse because it's only good for a certain time. You sell a house, you have to go get those original papers that you had and transfer all of that information to the new owner with a bill of sale. Possession is 9/10 of the law. Anything that you claim is yours, you have to have some way to prove that it's yours. If there were a store that sells pool cues and he's got 200 in there just exactly identical, one to another, you buy one, you take it home, you carve your initials on that pool cue that you bought. Somebody else has another one that they bought at the same store. You see them with that pool cue and you say, dude, that's mine. Or he sees you with one just like his and he swears that you stole his. Well, you've got a bill of sale and so does he. Both of you can prove that you bought one. How do you prove that the one you have in your possession is yours?
I would hope to, well, does Torah ever warn us about wanting to make amends? Is there a good way to approach it to where you don't get hurt? If I reach out, if I cross party lines, if you will, I'd like it to be one, successful. I'm not going to do it if I don't want to do it to win. If I'm not aiming to win and get it done right, I'm not going to do it.
What do you mean by party lines?
Well, I'd like more Noahides in the group. I'd like to get some more Torah perspective. I'd like some more visitors and some people that were once friends who have, that aberration of a letter that's up on Ask Noah has drawn a division. And now that I'm asking about 100 and some odd more people a week to the group on the Google Plus side,
extend the invitation. If they accept it, they're welcome.
Yeah. I would like to get this out of the way first. I would like to get this dispute out of the way.
Well, then extend the hand of friendship and say, come on in. You're welcome. Let's talk about it. Somebody's got to make this move. And if you're willing, if you want it to be over with, then roll out the red carpet and tell them, come on. The mature ones will discuss it.
I built up a wall. Everyone's, there's a big tear in the country. Should we build a wall on the southern border? Should we not build a wall on the southern border? We've had walls. China has a nice wall. Germany had a wall. Jericho had walls. And I kind of put up a bit of a wall. And in this day and age, on this particular topic of, okay, we could make that. That might be something we might have to do. Is I might have to make a specific invitation to talk about the subject and see if there's a way we can get past it.
Sure. Got to start somewhere. Walls are good. Okay, you have to have boundaries. You absolutely do. Property lines, city limit signs, county lines, state lines, you have to have boundaries. But,
John, what say you? Oh, sorry, Ross.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
I was just picking on Yochanan over here. He's been quiet. I hope he's done with his salad. It sounded like a delicious salad on this end.
So what's the problem we're trying to figure out?
No not problem, but
only solutions.
Yeah, it's Torah solutions to making amends. Did you hear what we were talking about at all?
Somewhat. To be honest with you, the topic doesn't really interest me. But
why is that?
The Dinim question doesn't do it for me.
On establishing communication with. Well, see, I figured you might have something to say because you're real good about talking to a variety of folk. You'll put yourself out there in the world. And say what, Rosalie?
Like I was
Nicely put.
You there, Rose? You're gonna?
Yeah. I said nice.
Need a flying DeLorean to try to find wherever your internet is in time.
It was real good when when she comes back. It sounds good when she comes back. She sounds real good.
The only thing I can give you about making amends for things that have happened to you that are wrong, I don't think the only thing I can think of that comes up in my mind that's in the Torah would be Yosef and his brothers, how he extended his hand out to make amends for the past. I can't really think about anything else, to be honest with you, on top of my head.
I can.
Go ahead. What take it away?
If you see a man that you hate and his donkey is struggling under the load, you shall help him repeatedly. We've had this discussion before. Where's the problem in that?
Well, it goes into it if you read the discussions on that verse. Are you to help that person? If, let's say, the guy has like a donkey and he has like a heavy load and it's struggling like it is, and you want to go help him, could that person go, oh, okay, fine, you help him and I'm going to stand back and let you do all the work?
Right, but it said you're looking at a guy that you hate. Where's the problem? Why do you hate the guy? And that's exactly why you have to go and help him.
That's
You're gonna
not
work
the
this
reason.
out.
You help because the donkey is stressing out, not the person.
They're both suffering. You're all suffering. The donkey's suffering under the load. You're suffering because you hate the guy. And if you don't help him, he's going to suffer because you hate him even more. Then he's going to be mad at you because you're a lazy, no good for nothing, selfish bum.
But you don't actually have to help him.
Well, if he's lashing out at you, if it's a mess, I don't think you have to put yourself through that.
Say what?
Well, if the blood is so bad that he doesn't want you anywhere near him, you can't really help him.
You want me to add some people to the call?
Always.
All right, people that we don't normally see. I know a few new people. I don't know how much of an issue they're going to be, but I could bring them in.
We can kick him out.
All right, fair enough.
It's talk radio. I'll hang up on anybody I feel like it.
Oh yeah.
No. I would give other people access to the room here, and we could all mod, hang up on who we want. But Google Plus is having a hard time. I wrote him a little letter today saying thank you for everything you do. However, it's not working properly. Please fix. We'll see how that goes.
All right, I added a few people of a bunch of different backgrounds. We'll see how well it goes. Like, it's difficult to talk to people of different persuasions. Like, I go to chat rooms and half the people want to meme at me like "Oy vey goyim," or they'll ask me questions like, "Is it acceptable to fleece goyim?" I mean, it's just you got to get through that sort of thing first, and then once you get through that, maybe you're lucky and there's a discussion to be had.
I noticed the past couple of months in the Torah versus New Testament group on Facebook, we've had we always get a nice circulation of interested people and interesting people at that. I've noticed there's been an influx of Christians reading Talmud. Now, I think everybody here, there's an inside smirk, maybe a chuckle, or maybe a face palm. But for everybody else out there, it's almost funny. I posted something in the group about how they can't even translate the Rambam right, and yet we have Christians diving into the Talmud and coming out anti-Semites. It's not funny. It's not funny, but that's kind of what's happening. I've seen it. I've seen several people.
It's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's kind of.
But it's out there, and they're reading it, and they're feasting on this stuff. Go ahead.
It's easy to feast on what you don't understand. I mean, oh yeah, these marshmallows are so good. Yeah, it's pig fat and preservative. Okay, there's no way to say this without sounding like a jerk, but I'm going to say it anyway. Sometimes I need clarity more than I need to make new friends. But a Christian trying to read the Talmud without any background in Aramaic or any background in Hebrew or, a very basic, no real background in reading an untranslated version of what they call the quote-unquote Old Testament is like an illiterate peasant trying to read Socrates.
Yep. I feel like that with Talmud. I've called myself a Noahide 20 years. Been studying for well over a decade now. I know even the Talmud. I don't want to go there. Go ahead, Ross. You were going to say something, I think.
No, I was just saying, yep, just like you did. Yep.
One is is that Gentiles who read the Torah are to be executed. That's not what the text says, but that's the going thing. I've seen that brought up. A lot of it, like killing Gentiles. That's what people walk away with this. When they read this, they walk away, with some tainted cheese. It's going to give you bowel irritations. It's going to make your life just that much more difficult for a little while. I don't know how we got off on this. Where are we going with it? Or what
Get back on track.
Yeah. There's well, I guess if communication is the basis of Dinim, I'm seeing. I've said it before. A long time ago was my catchphrase. Is most of mankind's problems exist because of poor or lack of communication, and that proper communication allows for the end of suffering on the planet. Maybe needless suffering. Asteroid lands on you, you will suffer. That's can't control that, but for the most part, and the fact that I wish Path was here. If Path was here, I'd had he posted this communication being the beginning of Dinim. I'm beginning to, so it affects every single other law. It's the premise by which every other law is kept or can be kept.
You're saying communication now?
Proper communication can solve the world's problems. If we properly understood, if we could properly convey nonverbal, telepathy, whatever, purified tongue, whatever. If we properly communicated with each other, we could work out our problems much easier. And if that is the basis of Dinim, which makes complete sense to me, then perhaps maybe that's where our focus should be a little more on, is communication, proper communication. And if we're in a Torah-based perspective, and this is where I get all nitpicky and angry and stuff and start slapping the table and throwing stuff and growling like an angry Scotsman, it's when it's in a Torah-based context and I see so much stacked against the very notion of the world coming to Israel. It's like the antithesis of that. I see that coming out in a lot of teachings. I understand, when the world had, when most civilization had walls between their cities, and there were warlords who would run around, or there'd be a king who would build castles and keeps and maintain order. But in this world, in this day today, I think we're all falling short. How can we fix this? How can we work through it? Do we have to have a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation made up, and we go to our adversaries and present to him our presentation? Is it all about just shaking hands? Do we just avoid them at all costs? Are we supposed to be socially stagnant, especially when it comes to some of this division in the non-Jewish community in the name of Torah? Yeah, I ask a lot of questions. It sounds real great to ask questions, and then I present them.
No, a lot of it is ego, okay? The walls you're talking about,
Yeah.
A lot of people hang their pride on them. Now that wall is put up there because this is my space. And to some degree, yes, okay, the walls of your house, you're inside, that's privacy. Inside the house, there's a special room, and that's even more so special. Your study or whatever it is. You know, everybody wants their space. But if that's all you are is that space, then you don't have much of an existence. The whole scenario is, I mean, people love to go to Canada to visit. Canadians aren't hating Americans because they're Americans.
Right.
Maybe they do. Maybe they do. But as long as they're bringing that tourism dollar, hey, we'll let you in. People go to Mexico by the hundreds of thousands, different little cities and towns. Okay, yeah, there's certain streets that you will not go down. You wouldn't dare. But I'll guarantee you those little tourist sites are extremely well protected. And why? Because they got tourists coming in. What do tourists bring? Dollars. They don't care where you're from. If your money is good, they don't care. Same thing all over the world. You go to Russia, you go to anybody goes in. The Japanese come to the United States to tour and visit. When the economy's bad here, you'll see a considerable number. When the economy's doing well, then you don't. But I guarantee you they'll take every advantage to come over here and go see every site that a lot of us would love to see. New York City, LA, Devil's Tower, whatever. How many Americans go to Europe? You know, I've always wanted to see the Eiffel Tower. I've always wanted to go to France. I want to go to Piccadilly Circus. I want to go to whatever. Hello?
Yeah, you're still there.
My mic's off. I'm here. Gav says over here in the side chat, 80,000 Americans currently living in the state of Israel. 80,000 Americans. These are people who've made, oh, well, most are dual citizens. Okay, that was one of the other questions.
They've made Aliyah than otherwise.
I was gonna ask how much of that is people making Aliyah, coming home.
A decent chunk. A good portion of it are people who were born here, but they have one parent that's a U.S. citizen, so they're able to get a U.S. passport and citizenship while never actually leaving here. Americans don't have a very high success rate with moving here. Most of them within 2 or 3 years move back to the States, but there are 80,000 that are here.
Good.
Yeah. As far as the tourism numbers, though, if I'm not mistaken, 2014, 2015, I haven't seen the recent stats, but they were breaking records back then.
Every year has been a new. They just released the 2017 tourism. 2017 was our best year for tourism yet.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
As far as how many American tourists we get a year, I would estimate probably in the millions, somewhere in the low millions. As far as people who live here, it's much smaller. It's 80,000.
That's good news. I see that as good news. I see that as a good thing. More and more people every year come to Israel. For one reason or another, that's a good thing.
Well, we have something for everybody. People forget, we have arts, we have scientific things, we have cultural things. This is where the 21st century and the Stone Age collide.
Good.
You laugh like I'm joking. I'm not.
No, I get it. I was going to say, isn't that mainly one of the reasons why a lot of the Americans go back home?
Yeah, it's definitely a downgrade in lifestyle, and in quality of life. It's not, you know, you're not gonna have the material wealth and satisfaction if that's what you're all about living here.
It's not Babylon.
No, it's not Babylon.
You have beer and internet. What more could you want?
Yeah, well, we do here. We have internet. Didn't always have internet, but we do now. But yeah, a friend of mine. He has videos on YouTube, and he travels all over the world. He's originally from the UK, and he made Aliyah here, I think, in the late 70s, early 80s. And he has a saying. The first time he went to America, he grew up in the UK, and then he made Aliyah here. The first time he visited America, he went to a supermarket to pick up milk. And he said, it's crazy. He said, there's a whole milk aisle, and you have all these options. You have whole milk, 2%, skim milk, whatever. And his wife comes and finds him in the supermarket aisle. What's taking so long? He said, I'm trying to buy milk. He said, in Israel, there's 2 options. There's 2 options of milk. That's it. There's not a whole aisle. So.
And you actually have to put it in your cart and go cash out up front. Yeah,
pretty much. You don't get your. I mean, there are parts of it. It's better now than it ever has been. But I remember when I was a kid, when I wasn't living here full time, I was just coming and staying with relatives in the summer or anything. It was kind of in the 90s. It was a banana republic. It was a very economically backwards. And in many ways, things still are kind of backwards. The socialism doesn't, dies hard here. It takes forever to get rid of that shit. There's no Uber here. The taxi unions have had Uber banned. So there's that. You can't get an electronic cigarette or a vape stick because it's unhealthy, but you can smoke regular cigarettes. That makes a ton of sense. You can ride a camel on the city streets in the south near Beersheba and everything, but you have to get a license for it. But you have to get a camel permit. So it's interesting at times. It's interesting. It's also very frustrating at times. The bureaucracy is infuriating.
I can see one of the reasons why they wouldn't allow the vape guns there, because they actually look like a weapon. So that's understandable.
Well, that wasn't the reason they banned it. I mean, it wasn't.
Yeah,
the health
I know, but I'm just saying.
It's like, well, we don't know if this is bad for you or not. We're not going to fund the research, so we're just going to ban it. But you can still smoke cigarettes. That's cool.
I could just get this mental picture of a camel going down the street with an SMV triangle hanging off its butt.
Yeah.
There are camel crossing signs on some of the highways. Every year, some poor schmuck hits one and gets killed because it's a massive animal.
Yeah.
You hit one of those in a smart car, you're going to die, not the camel.
Exactly.
Speaking of internet, have you had any chance to catch up on some of that Nightfall?
I have not, but I want to.
Series is concluded here. I'm not going to spoil anything for you.
Are they going to do a season 2, or was it just like a one-off thing?
It has the potential to be continued. No, as far as I know, nobody's announced a season 2 yet. I haven't even bothered to look. I was just so enthralled with season 1. How many episodes have you got in?
3.
There was some way I could sneak them in the back door for you. I'd get them to you.
Oh, it's okay. I can download them. It's not a problem.
Oh, okay.
I shouldn't be able to get them and to download them, but I know some people that know some people that bribe some people.
I've heard this.
People and liberty.
It's either that, Ross, or find somebody that still has a VHF and tape them and mail them to them.
Huh.
The people that still have that here. A lot of people here still listen to cassette tapes. They think it's totally normal, like that's still a thing.
Cassettes are fun.
They think Rambo is something other than fiction. It's hilarious. Oh yeah, Rambo. Rambo was in Vietnam. I was like, Rambo is a fictional character played by Sylvester Stallone.
Oh no!
When they look at you like you have lobsters crawling out of your ears.
Oh, we have that here too. Don't believe me. Especially the ones who think Harry Potter is real.
I hope not. Goodness. Well, falling off like dead flies. Everybody keeps leaving. Oh, Tom.
I'm back.
Hi.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I can hear you just fine. How you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm cool. Winding down today.
There's Ross.
Yeah, I got booted out for some reason.
Well, I'm glad you returned from the rapture. Hopefully we'll get John back in here in a little bit. Says Dinim's not his favorite topic.
What are y'all talking about?
Well, one of the 7 Noahide laws, which in Judaism is the universal law that applies to all mankind as given in the Torah, the Jewish Bible, basically. Dinim is you're out. All right. Huh. Okay. Dinim is the adios, Rabbi. Dinim is the process by which we settle disputes and maintain civil behavior, you know. So
Back, John.
welcome back, John. So I know, John, this isn't your favorite topic, and I just said this too when you were here. This isn't John's favorite topic, I guess, but it's about solving disputes. And when a friend of ours brought up communication, it's like the basis of all courts, the basis of all solving of disputes is good communication. Hearing out the other guy. And creating a space or creating a place in which you and your adversary can meet and work this out to where you're shaking hands and best friends at the end of it. That's the perfect scenario in a Jewish court, from what I've been told. Okay, so we don't have Noahide courts. We don't have courts. We don't have these court buildings, and there aren't Noahide lawyers out there, whatever. So we have to, so internally we have to ask ourselves, what does the Torah teach us about settling disputes in our life? How can we better communicate?
Can I interrupt you?
Yeah. I don't like dead air, so I talk. So please interrupt.
Was not Solomon the arbiter of unreconcilable differences?
I don't know. That's a very good question. Anybody?
Like the women that came and said it was her son that died. No, it was actually her son that died. And he called for the sword, cut the living baby in half.
Correct.
That's one scenario.
That's what I know from my Christian teachings. I'm just curious how it is from a Jewish perspective. Like, do you have Solomon recorded as the wisest man ever?
Absolutely.
and being the arbiter of justice?
Absolutely.
Well, how does he fit in with that, with the Jewish law? Was he following it?
Well, yeah, he was king.
Okay.
You'd have to.
So a king has ultimate judgment, right? So if you have a
This-
kingdom again, the king is going to be your ultimate judge, like your Supreme Court, right? So you have so
no.
you say you don't you say you don't have a Supreme Court. So the king
No.
would be your Supreme Court judge, right?
No.
Something like that?
He's held to the same law the slave is. He's held to the same law everybody else is.
I'm talking about adjudicating a case.
No,
Dispute.
he's king. It's the Sanhedrin. That's the Supreme Court, and they
Right.
set up the courts of everybody else. And in the Messianic age, or Second Coming might have been taught. After that, according to the prophets, when we live in harmony, we're going to have a court system set up by the Sanhedrin that is, okay, I'll give you that. You got this. The Messiah, yes. Mashiach does set up our courts. He sets up the structure. He sets up the people. He starts it in motion. So, yeah, okay, on that, you're spot on, dude. Mashiach, the Messiah, whoever you think he might be, when he comes, yeah, he's the one who sets up the Supreme Court. After that, though, Supreme Court handles all the adjudicating stuff like that, and he makes sure that everything's well kept and whatnot.
But he's not necessarily a king.
What do you mean?
Messiah ben Joseph, Messiah ben David. Joseph was never a king.
Right. It's Ben David that it's Moshiach ben David that sets up the Sanhedrin, and he gives us the dynasty that oversees everything for 1,000 years. No more war. Think about that. No more war, and yet fair and balanced courts of justice are still going to be implemented. What kind of a world is that? I don't know about y'all, but I could go there right now. I would
Sounds like a fantasy to me. What are you going to do in this paradise place? What will people do all day? I'm curious.
You'll still have people that are going to have spats and everything.
Nobody's
But I
ever
mean,
told
for
me
all-out
what people
war,
are
that's
do
not going to
in
happen.
this area of existence. Like will you be continually in worship and prayer, or will you be living some form of like fourth dimensional life? I don't know. I'm curious. It's kind of.
Oh, you mean like in the world to come?
No one's ever answered that question. What will people do, like, as in, will time cease relevance?
No.
Will we have a spatial reality? How can you relate such a place to where I'm at right now?
There's two concepts in Judaism. John, you might have to help me out. There's a concept of the world to come, and then there's the end of days, which whatever this physical thing is won't make much of a difference. But the world to come, the Messianic era, it's going to be death and taxes. It'll still be earth, and we're still going to be people, but we'll be people who don't get sick. Nature will no longer have the strife that it does, as in like predator and prey. Mankind no longer knows war. We live longer. We spend a lot more time studying and playing and experiencing pleasure than we do strife. Although, like I say, there is death and taxes. Things got to get done.
Will all slaves be freed?
Yes. Yes.
Cool. So they live their life in slavery here. If they behave properly, according to some ancient text, they can have an afterlife of freedom, right?
Or we could have it here. The idea is we want to envision the world to come so we can teach our kids. I don't think I'll see it, but I still want to be there. I still want to take part in it. I still want to. I want to see.
I was raised Christian, and Christ said for a slave to obey his master.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the old laws about having slaves get married, and the slaves could go free, but his wife and children had to stay slaves. Is that true?
No, it's okay. When they say
to some extent it was.
When they say their children are an inheritance to you,
right,
they become an instant official member of the nation of Israel. They're not Jews or nothing. But yeah, they are brought into the whole. You are that is not just their child that is your child that's being raised here. You're responsible for that child's well-being.
They're adopted, basically.
Yeah, they are as much an Israelite.
They're adopted into the family.
Right.
So they're freed upon their master's death.
Yes.
What you're saying?
They don't have their masters are their parents. When they turn 16,
so when the master dies, they're freed, huh?
They're citizens. They don't have the Jewish rights.
You can't pass on inheritance. A slave is property inheritance under Judaism.
No.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a misconception a lot of people have, especially atheists love to use that against God-fearers. No.
Yeah.
If you are,
you can't think American slavery.
Yeah,
you can't think that way.
That is not Torah-based slave. In Torah, if a runaway slave comes to you, you have to take him in as part of your family. You can't turn him back to his master. In the South, they're property. They give you reward for bringing them back. They had officials with badges.
I understand that.
Anti-Bible. The Bible's completely different.
Slaves were called evids, which would be like a ward of the court or a foster child. It would be like a foster child, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody about eunuchs earlier. You reckon how many eunuchs chose to be eunuchs? You reckon that was real popular for a slave to choose to be a eunuch?
Not in Judaism.
Over concubines?
Not in Judaism. Heck no.
That's in the Japanese maybe, but that's not.
That's not a.
No.
You don't suppose the Jews use eunuchs to take care of the concubines?
No.
In the Old Testament?
No, Jews are real big on snipping the tip of it to make things a little more accessible. They're more into the eunuch. Doing a castration is actually a violation of Torah law.
Oh really?
Yeah, that's more thinking along the lines of the Japanese.
That is a violation in every respect you could possibly. Even the animals are allowed to are told to procreate. Why would you prevent a man from doing it? Why would you? We don't. Not in Torah law. Heck no. Keep that. That is yours. Use it properly, and it will be good to you.
Right.
I don't mean to make light of it.
I've got to run. I ain't gonna be able to hang out long. Y'all take it easy.
Okay. Good night,
John.
Well, John's the man.
All right. Take care, man. Yeah, this is why I don't. This is why I'm not really interested in this conversation. It's,
Tell us
what's I don't understand what's wrong with the United States courts of justice. I mean,
lawyers.
That's the.
I love trial by jury. I like active jury, a jury that asks questions, a jury that puts a screws to the prosecution, that puts a screws to the defense, juries that interact and judge based on, they shouldn't be an audience. That, and if I look at Ruth, again, everybody showed up for the trial and anybody could speak up for the prosecution, for the defense. Everybody was there. And we do that as a jury. We shouldn't be teaching our jurors to be an audience to a couple of lawyers. We should teach jurors to be the lawyers. The jurors should go in there knowing he's innocent. The jurors should protect his innocence while exposing the truth to their, you know what I'm saying? I don't, on paper, it's perfect. The trial by jury is the best thing that we've come up with since the Torah. And I think that, might even be guided by it to some degree.
It is. There we go. No, the system today, you see it all too often. The truth absolutely should be the winner in every court case, the truth. But the lawyers go in and they seek that they want to win the case however they can win it, because that builds their reputation. It's good for their ego. It's good for their business, their bank account. They'll do whatever it takes to win. Truth be damned.
Yeah.
That's the part. That's the problem we have in our court systems today.
I mean, the Canada's political system, America's political system, all the different countries of Europe, Mexico, that is the courts of justice of the Noahide Code.
How so?
We could do better.
How so? What do you mean?
In Mexico, you think you'd get a fair trial?
No.
But that's not the question being answered. The question was how do we set up courts of justice or something?
No, it's my thing was if Dinim is a commandment, then communication is key to fulfilling that law. What does Torah give us when settling disputes? Even if you're the one who feels to be slighted by the other party and you still want to make amends, how do you approach them? You know, how do you sell it? You know, how do you make the invitation? In my opinion, these are important things. And I know there's a division in the non-Jewish Noahide community, and it's fashionable now to be one side or the other. So I figured that's a good time to buck the fashion and see if we can maybe bring some people back into the fold, or bring ourselves back into a bigger fold. You know, that's what this came from, was, you know, some of our old friends are here, and maybe it's time they come back. Maybe we could make amends. Silly.
Sure. The idea is go in trying to figure out what you have in common, which is a hell of a lot more than you have that divide you.
It's the Almighty. How much more common can that be?
Exactly, because the Torah says all throughout, if you're not doing it for His sake, for His name's sake, then you're doing it for personal reasons. You're making yourself look good. You're making yourself look smart. You're making yourself whatever. No, it's all about truth. Hashem is true. He is the one that needs to be glorified, not your ego. That's what we all have to overcome, is our own egos.
Welcome.
Privyet, Red October. Willkommen. Bienvenue. Welcome. I'll get back to America eventually.
What's going on, Pillbox? What's happening?
Pillbox!
Hey, shalom, players. What's going on with you?
We're discussing communication as a key to bring about a better world.
Is that after we barbecue the entire world? I think that would fix it first.
Yeah, hoping to avoid that.
I think it's too late for the world, Idol Smasher. I think it's too late. Way too late. There's no fixing. This is like a irreparable, 99th degree cancer of the heart, lungs, stomach, and brain, and it's protruding out of the ears by now.
Would you consider that the division and the strife would be not unlike your body fighting a virus? It was.
Well, I mean, we all agree. We all believe in Genesis. This world is owned by Satan. So this is just normalcy. This has been going on for at least 6,500 years. This is just normal business as usual. Satan is doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing in his eyes. He's doing a very good job of it. Everybody is deceived. It's called the Great Deception. Even I know as a Christian, most of my Christian brothers and sisters are even greatly deceived. They can't even understand the Bible, let alone know it. That's how I know the Bible's true. I mean, all these things are just unfolding right in front of us. When something is literally being claimed to be written by man, but they can't even read the words, that's what proves to me it's not written by man. And I think we are in the days of Noah right now. This is like as you would go to Noah and his sons and say, hey, you guys really don't need to build this boat. We can fix these problems.
If that would have happened, there would have been no need for a boat.
All right. So, right. And as a Christian, you have to realize that I believe that the new boat, as a pseudonym, as I guess how would I explain this to be appropriate, as some sort of cult name, as a Christian, I call it the Red October, but really it's Jesus Christ is the new ark that we have. I obviously, that's just me being open, about my belief system as far as Jesus Christ being the only way to the Father. I think he is the new ark. I think we're here now. I think there's no way we're going to be around for another 10, 15 years.
Yeah, but Pillbucks, they've convinced you that the devil owns the world too. So, I mean,
well, he does. He's the president of the world. It's like, is the president of the United States? He's the president. He has taken a lease on it since the inception of the Garden of Eden. Ever since Adam failed and sin entered the world because of Adam, Satan took over. It's been his domain. Yes, that's why he was able to offer Jesus Christ the kingdoms, and Jesus Christ said, "No, you can keep them."
I don't know how you could come up with that out of Genesis. The serpent's here, but
half of that was Genesis. The other half was the New Testament, obviously.
But it's God who breathes life into your lungs. He's that intimate too. I mean, we have a choice, and we're not dead yet. So I don't know. There is actually a very apocalyptical side to Judaism when it comes to how Mashiach will come. It's like, one is if we've achieved a state of being with each other where he comes to mark that we've achieved it, and the other is that we've gotten so bad he's sent to save it. I hope not. I don't have, I was talking today with somebody, and I'll bring this up now. I'll say it right now. Okay, we'll change topics here, but and I hear this from all people here, that God favors Donald Trump. God's on Donald Trump's side. And as much as I love and have deep respect for those who say that, amongst some who say that, I should say, I find that to be dangerous. And almost
it's worse than that. That's psychotic, idol smasher. That is white America in its lowest form of pseudo intellectualism. These are these fake Christians these are the fake Christians that I have to talk to, that wear sports jerseys, that get ready for the weekend to get their family of 5 and the dog a Cowboys uniform on to watch a game for 4.5 hours and get drunk and then fall asleep and then go to church the next day and tell me they're a good Christian. This is the great deception. This is the foolish. This is the wicked. It says right here, 1 John 2:15, love not the world, neither the things that are in of the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. And then it says, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lusts of the eyes and the pride of the life is not of the Father, but is of this world. That's why Jesus Christ says you have two options. You can be for him or against him. If you are of this world, if you love this world, if you love Donald Trump, you are screwed. You are a Satanist. You love yourself. You have faith in a fake country corporation. You don't have faith in the Creator. I'm sorry, no man can save you.
I never thought of it that way.
He is correct. No man can save us.
No.
That is a true statement. No man can save us.
That's right. Only Jesus Christ can save you.
Absolutely, he's got a point over there.
He was a man. Nope, he was a man.
To idolize over their savior. This is true. I mean, even what you're reading from John there, it's all about the evil more than,
Well, right. No, and to what she's saying, you have to think that Jesus Christ was a psychotic lunatic, though, because not only did he claim he was God, he actually accepted being worshipped. So he was, you have to either think he's a lunatic, a sadistic liar, or he's Lord in the flesh.
There was a dispute as to whether he thought he was God or as to whether
Oh, no, there's no dispute about it. Not for people that understand the New Testament. No, it isn't. It's very clear. Many times is this stated over and over. The love, remember, he said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father, period.
Okay, what about when he says to pray to one God? Peter
Yes,
asked,
that's why it's called a Trinity. Yeah, you can't understand the Trinity, right? And in the beginning, we made man. We in our image. That's Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is two entities. Some say the Trinity, which I don't understand. No, even everybody who or believes in the Trinity, idol smasher, does not understand. No human being can understand the Trinity. But Jesus Christ was God in the flesh, and his body still exists right now. It's ascended to heaven.
no.
Okay, let me repeat this to you right here. Watch. Let me read from the Bible right here. Watch this right there. Hold on. Let me find it. Let me go. Ready? John, hold on. Listen. In the beginning let me read from the Bible. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then it says later, the Word became flesh. Sorry, it's right here. Clear as crystal.
It became the world, it became the waters, it became the animals, it became man as well.
No, the Word became flesh when Jesus Christ came as a man. That's when the Word became flesh.
No,
that's why the man here says, Lord, now lettest thou servant depart in peace according to thy word. For mine eyes have seen thy salvation, which of thou hast prepared before the face of all people. Right there, clear as crystal. Luke 2, 25 to 32.
Don't verse chuck us here. Okay, easy now.
I'm just saying, this is clear as crystal. You can, if you can get, I apologize. You can get rid of the New Testament then. Just say you don't believe the New Testament.
Okay, let's put a pin
exactly.
In that.
Perfect. There you go.
Pillbox, we were doing really good with I love the little rant about Donald Trump, about how he's a piece of shit, and people put on football jerseys and doing all that. Let's just stick to
they're at the grocery. Listen, okay, here we go, John. They're at the grocery store right now with their iPad, and they give their 4-year-old daughter an iPad to sit in the cart and shut up because they don't want to be parents anymore. And this person's going to tell me they're a Christian. They're going to go to church on Sunday, and then when they go to the grocery store, so they don't have to be a parent, they give their children a $300 computer to shut up. This is the new age we're living in, people. We're in desperate times. Desperate.
I almost want you to say do your intro with the little radio tune and the
parallel. Oh, I know. Yeah, right now it's 8:16 west of the Rockies, south of the 33rd parallel. You're listening to the end of the internet. Welcome to the Red October, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Now I feel more comfortable.
To the room, Kevin. Good to have you here.
And I'll digress now. You go ahead, guys.
No, thank you for coming, Pill. I brought you in because you're a decent person to talk to. You're not like a wild animal like the most of the people here on the internet. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming by.
No, we are in the new age Sodom and Gomorrah. If you get a chance, people, I have proven the internet is the new Sodom and Gomorrah. Subscribe to Blood Always Finds Its Level. That's my channel. I did this before the new year. We figured this out 2017, John, and you helped me out. Thank you for being there.
No problem. Anytime, man. And I'm sorry I can't come by tomorrow night because it'd be Shabbat, but I definitely try to make all your hangouts, man. I try to get there.
Well, God bless you, John. I appreciate that. I'll digress now. Go ahead.
No, we were doing good. When you first came in here, when we were talking about the topic of communication, I thought that was pretty well done. I thought you were saying the right things there. How can we find common ground? Like, so what would be the
Isaiah 43, 8 through 12.
What's it say?
I don't really want to look up Isaiah. I don't really want to look up Isaiah.
Look it up. Anyway.
Kevin, tonight's topic is communication and courts of justice.
The communication bee, and I was hoping we get Pat in here. He brought it up to me. It was just freaking brilliant. It's really blown my mind. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I know we're onto something. The communication is the basis of Dinim. So if we're going to be good, Ben Noach, Gerim, if we're going to stand under Torah in the tents of Shem, how do we properly communicate? Bye, Kevin. Adios. Nice to see you. Bye. Okay. We'll just shut this down. Good night, everybody. Kidding.
That's all. Anyway.
So Idol Smasher, pick us up again. So what exactly?
All right.
What exactly are we trying to gather out?
Bounce off Pillbox here. I mean, when he was saying, that we are in the new Babylon or the new Sodom and Gomorrah, maybe that's not a bad thing, because maybe it can go rightly. I mean, when it comes to communication, look at what we're doing now. Nobody has had the advantage that we have now, communicating worldwide in real time. We had a rabbi from Israel. We have people from all over the continent here. It's got to be a good thing. What's the most talked about thing on Google Hangouts? God. Whether belief in God, there is no God, there is a God, my God looks like this. That's the big topic. That should be a plus. That should be seen as a plus, I think. I would hope.
The fact that we could come on here and yell at each other is a good thing.
Yes, we're working out. Well, when the individual, when we get to go outside of our box and extend ourselves into the world, it makes it much harder, I think, to rally people to war. I think it rallies people. It's more difficult to rally people under idols when we begin to communicate with each other and talk. And the hardest part is how do you reach out?
I think Pillbox actually brought up a good point. I mean, people are on their iPads. They teach it. I mean, I was just with someone recently. Their little 7-year-old kid was screaming at the parents about buying them a cell phone. A 7-year-old. I couldn't imagine having a cell phone at 7.
Wolf.
People wear their jerseys, their football jerseys, and they worship Donald Trump. How do we communicate better? How can we be better at communicating proper justice with these people who are in this whatever you want to refer to it as, comatose?
You're right that we can't do it online. It has to be done in the world. It has to be done, and I'm a guy who works in media, but it has to be done in the real world.
That's why we're here.
That's right.
Can I say something on that, John, real quick, in Idol Smasher? Here's let me make my claim. You got to do this to their face. You can't let them do it in their comfortable zone of their filth and disgusting rat nest. You got to go out to them in public and say, sir, do you know that your whole life has been a lie and you need to get saved? Because at least the Torah believers agree with me on that they agree that they have to be saved. You're not going to save yourself. That's the thing we all agree on. You need to be saved by God, period, end of story. Even the Christians know that's true. And you could even use that. Even the Christians haven't screwed that up. You could tell somebody. So that's the reality. You got to pick them apart in real life. When they're at the store, they're coming through a business. You go to the bank, you go to the store, wherever you meet somebody. Oh, hey, hey, Sonny, can you help me get this down? They're going to ask you, John Gishgala, at the store. And then you need to strike up a conversation. You need to get them when they're vulnerable out in public, because these scornful, disgusting atheists have a completely different attitude when you meet them in public, John. You know this. When they get on their computers and they get comfortable, they turn into cockroaches.
It's a false.
Right. It's the comfortable thing, John. It's the comfortability when they get really set in to their rat nest at their house. Idol Smasher. They turn into a monster.
The trolls.
Let me ask you a question though, Pillbox, because my Rebbe, I go to Chabad Lubavitch, and the Rebbe was a big fan of proselytizing people. In this way, like let me give you an example. He would say, which is better to do, taking his flashlight and pointing it directly into the sun, or taking a flashlight and pointing it directly into a dark room? And the greatest effect you would have in reality was taking that flashlight and shining into that dark room. And sometimes we do have to go into the rat nest and shine a little righteousness in that filth. Get our shoes dirty, get our feet wet. One of the you would know this because you know the New Testament more than us. I don't. You're the expert. JC himself Who did he proselytize to? Who did Jesus go to? He went to the downtrodden, the poor, the helpless, the people who were filthy, the people who might have been sinners. He didn't go to the religious authorities. Why would he? They already know.
Of course, but John, but he wasn't on the internet.
That's okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Right,
that's how easy it is. Exactly what I'm saying, bro. That's exactly right. So you got to go out there and grab these people when they're on the street. And sometimes he was even talking to scoffers that were hiding. I'm sure that he even once in a while talked to a complete worthless piece of garbage that was worse than, because we're all sinners. We know that. We're all I hate to say this, but we're almost all like that prostitute on the street. Even though we haven't done that, but we're all that bad. We all know that we have a past, and the lives that we've lived is not bad. But even once that woman was even used to teach and actually spread the good news to some men. So don't let any Christian tell you otherwise. But
right, thank God we're all.
Go ahead.
Absolutely, I agree. Go ahead.
Is it ever? It just sounds like it's the doomsday thing, man. You seem to be doomy. It's all doom and gloom. And
well, I'm happy to be here. That's the thing. I love being. I couldn't have picked a more interesting time for me to be alive, Idol Smasher. I love the fact that I have woken up to these truths. My parents had no idea. My mom was actually a satanic whore. So thank God my life changed. I'm not like my family, right, John? You know that. So think of the fact that I have now gone in a completely different direction. My whole family was lost. I probably won't see 99% of my family members in heaven. That's okay, because that's the truth, and I love the truth. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, John. I love the truth. I love being awake.
But you're doomy. It's all about doom and gloom. What did you just say?
No. It's truth. It's truth, John. It's not doom and gloom. It's truth.
It does seem a little. It is okay. It could be truth. It is truth, right? But it is gloomy. But that's okay. That's all right.
But it's a beautiful thing. Listen, when you guys go to watch a movie, you guys don't go to wait a second. Listen, hold on, guys. Let's look about our psychosis here. When you guys choose to go watch a movie, you don't go and watch My Little Pony. You guys don't go choose to watch My Little Pony when you want to see a movie. You go see Aliens or The Predator or RoboCop or something interesting with some trials and tribulations, guys and ladies and gentlemen out there. You want to see a love story of a falling away and a beautiful ending and a happiness and something that turned around. Nobody wants to go see the rainbows and unicorns hand out lemonade at the ice cream cone stand. So it's built into your psyche. It's in your spirit that you want to see these types of things in life. You want trials and tribulations. You just forgot it. You just didn't realize it.
I just want to say welcome to the room, Z Prez. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You got right into the middle of a heated conversation. Not I shouldn't say heated. It was very. Pill is.
He's
passionate.
very passionate. Yes.
Passionate. You're passionate.
Yes.
He believes in what he says, and that's good.
And I might be psychotic. In fact, to this world, they call me a terrorist. They call me a terrorist to this world, and that's absolutely correct. If you are of this world, I should be considered a terrorist to you because I destroy this world, John Gishgala. Everything about this world is a sick satanic cesspool. That's why I am no longer of this world. I am no longer of this world, John. It's all garbage. And it's not doom and gloom. That's what we secretly want. Look at the books we buy. Look at the movies we watch. That's what we love.
We don't love
Idol Smasher. Come on.
But in a way, Pillbox is right.
The good guy wins.
Exactly.
In a way, Pillbox is right. If you really see the world for truly the way it is a very disgusting place, and it's really
also a very beautiful place at the same time.
Absolutely.
There are still flowers. There's still love.
Well, there goes another one.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Fuck me. Excuse my French.
Well, listen. I love God's creation. I spend 90% of my time teaching music, researching science, raising plants and animals, and I love every bit. I love cats. I love reptiles. I love my spider plants. I love Egyptian papyrus. Those are God's creation. Those are the greatest things we've ever had of the plants and animals to appreciate this wonderful creation. Yes, it doesn't mean the people in it are of God. It doesn't mean they're righteous. It doesn't mean that they have truth. Everything they teach us is a lie. From the magical wobbling super water ball rocket that they teach us, we're flying around mystical, magical space, somehow going through a giant vacuum that pressurizes the magical water ball that we used to come from monkeys that came from virgin rocks. Every single thing they teach us is a lie. I'm not of this world. That's of man's life. That's of man's world, man's mental stage that they've destroyed us mentally and spiritually for thousands of years now. I love the fact that I've woken up to this truth. It's not doom and gloom for me. I love it now. Thank God he put me in this position.
Yeah. I'm gonna pry open my chumash and try to make some sense of this world. Because that's all I got left. You know what I like about Mishpatim? It's the begin. It starts out with the law of the slave. When you start getting the civil law spelled out, if you're following along at home, we're in chapter 21 of Exodus, and a lot of great things happen here in Mishpatim. We're getting basically, if I'm not mistaken, one of the things I want to bring up about this week's Parsha, are we not getting basically how at this point, I know it's not in chronological order, at this point, aren't we getting basic, civil laws that Moses had already given to Israel on the way out of Sinai and Haram? We start with the slave first, and then we begin to embrace more of the population. Go ahead, Ross. What do you say?
No, I said, you mean Marah. He gave them at Marah.
What'd I say? Oh, Marah. Yes, sir. Marah.
I really haven't did any studying this week. I'm going to do an extra lot of studying tomorrow. I usually do Fridays. I usually do extra study. So So someone has to help me here, James. You have to educate us about this week's Torah lesson.
Well, we're given the law of the red heifer according in the Gutnick edition. It's what I'm in right now, by the way, y'all. Last week it was saying that the laws that were given at Marah included the red heifer. Now we see it actually put into play, aren't we? No, hang on. Yes. When you enter into the covenant, hang on. Honoring parents, the red heifer, civil laws, which were given at Marah. Right, okay. And then Moses ascends the mountain for 40 days. And we end with a beautiful, actually, vision, a quite compelling picture painted in your mind at the end of it, which would be 24:14. So if you're following along at home, we're in 21 through 24, verse 14, or verse 18. He ascends the mountain and goes for 40 days. We have no priestly laws given. I don't see any offering laws.
You know why?
Huh?
Go ahead. No priestly and no offering. Go ahead.
Negligence, theft. The four guardians. I'm not. I haven't looked into the four guardians. It was idolatrous behavior, agricultural offerings. There we go. On the stone offering, because we know Moshe built the stone offering, a Noahide offering, basically a Noahide altar. Laws and avoidance with prejudice. Shabbos, Yom Tov. Yeah, they're all civil laws.
Exactly.
Now, can I ask a question?
Until 24, then it changes. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask, how does the laws of the red heifer have to do with anything between man and his fellow man? Civil laws.
Yeah, I was entering into the covenant. That was in Marah. They already knew it.
Yeah.
It had to.
Shabbos, honoring your mother and father, and the red heifer all happened at Marah. And what you're reading here in Mishpatim.
You're just a tad bit low there, Ross. Just a tad bit low.
Wee bit.
Is this better? Maybe this.
Okay, yeah.
That's better?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Same old problem as always.
Where are you starting at, Ross?
Oh, just in this whole Parsha Mishpatim.
Because I'm in chapter 23, so that's what I figured that's where I got.
Right. Well, 21, but.
All right.
Do you have the Gutnick edition open?
Yes,
sir.
What does it say about 21:1? Is there commentary on that?
There's Rashi's problem. Rashi was troubled by the fact that the civil laws mentioned here were already given to the Jewish people while they were encamped in Marah, not Haram. Before the giving of the Torah, see Genesis 15:25. It's if this is the case, why does the Torah right here? And these are the laws, suggesting that that this parsha follows on directly from Parsha Yisro, where the Torah was given. To answer the question, Rashi states that just as what has been previously stated, the Ten Commandments, was from Sinai, the following laws are also from Sinai, i.e., despite the fact that these laws were already given in Marah, they were nevertheless repeated at Sinai. This was to endow civil law with the legislative authority and religious significance of Sinai.
Okay. That's the only commentary. It doesn't say anything about, and these are the ordinances or what it
Actually, there's a whole other.
What's your question, Ross?
There's a whole other chunk of that too.
Okay. Somebody read a commentary earlier on what the ordinances actually referred to, and what the reason you don't see any priestly or offering things here. This whole section, Mishpatim, are the 7 laws. Okay?
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, it's the 7 laws, which brings you all the way up to the right at near the end where it says that Moses wrote all of this Torah up until this point, right? And then you read about the altar and the ratification of the covenant, the book of the covenant, or the book of the ancients, is it?
Ancients, yeah.
The covenant of the ancients. And this, again, we've discussed this before. This is prior to his actually going up to receive the first set of tablets. This is the 7. Because we know that after his first ascension for the 40-day and 40-night period to receive those 10 is exactly when the event of the golden calf happened. And the double proof of that is let's see. Sorry, I'm dropping things back here. We know that Hur was killed at the event of the golden calf, correct?
Right.
Okay, and then what does it say there in verse 14, 24:14?
Well, hang on, man. 14. Only if a man plots deliberately against another Jew to kill him and strike,
24.
and his strike is intended.
24:14.
Okay, it says, in parentheses, as he left the camp, he said to the elders, "Wait for us here and be ready to judge any dispute until we return to you. Look, Aaron and Shur, the son of Miriam and Caleb, are with you. Whoever has a legal cause, a legal case, should approach them.
Aaron and Hur. So Hur is still alive, which means he's about to go up for the first time. Would you agree? No?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's God. So God had spoken already.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's why Moses wrote here. He wrote this covenant of the ancients, the 7 previous laws, which were just brought in not only in Parshas Yitro, but here as well. Okay, this is a reiteration. And then the covenant that they said we will hear and do, or do and hear, that's the very covenant they broke with the setting up of the golden calf. They killed Hur. There's murder, lascivious sex. We know about that little story. Blasphemy, idolatry. All of this is going on.
Cool.
Cool?
No, I never looked at it like that, as the breaking of them right then and there. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Cool too.
Right.
I never saw that before. Thank you for pointing that out. That's cool.
No, it wasn't just one. They didn't break just one. They broke
They broke them
several.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did Moses do when he came down? He broke them all.
Moses did, or the tablets?
He broke the tablets with the 10 Commandments. He
Yeah.
literally
Oh, I knew
broke the
that.
tablets. They're
If he
down
didn't,
there. Huh?
if he didn't, there'd have been a problem.
If he didn't, God would have wiped man off the face of the earth right then and there,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because that would have made God go against his word.
Exactly. So they're down there violating the covenant that they just made. He's up here essentially getting in writing from God what was just exactly happened or told prior to him going up. And to contrast it a little bit more, before he went up, the children of Israel, Moses, Aaron, the elders, all of them are eating and drinking and gazed at God, yet he didn't stretch out his hand against them. This is a holy meal. Moses disappears and whoo.
Then we got the need for the Mishkan.
Right. That's where if you continue to read, you see that he goes up and he gets the 10. But while he's up there getting the 10, again, as we read, you shall have no other gods besides me. Reiteration of what we have already known in the Noahide law, right?
Mhm.
Do not worship idols. Do not commit blasphemy. That was told to Moses while he was up there on the 40 days. You shall not steal. You shall not commit sexual immorality. You shall not commit murder. All of this is being reiterated. Courts of justice.
Yes, they felt they were cut off.
What?
Oh, without Moses, they had the illusion they were cut off from God.
They violated the covenant. They nullified the covenant. They
Correct.
broke it.
Right.
And the only way back is to do teshuva, to repent, to come back. But again, there is no coming back from blasphemy. You just don't. And as far as murder goes, there's no coming back from that. If a man sheds blood, by a man his blood shall be shed. So there, I mean, what?
I thought, never mind. I'm sorry. Wife was talking to me and I got sidetracked for a second. Sorry.
No problem. But Mishpatim, if you look, go back and start at the beginning and read, he's covering the 7 and he's going into detail here. Which
he starts with the slave, which could be anybody,
exactly.
of any origin or faith, you know. The right of the slave. That's the most destitute of all people. It's universal, in other words, is what I'm saying. He starts with the law of the lowest.
Well, the first slave that I guess we can remember reading about was a guy named Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
Go, as you keep going, what do you come into? Well, once you get past the slave,
starts there. It's about, you know, if you start out with the lowest, everybody's covered. Another theme of another theme of the universal message that's in the Parsha. This and last week's, I think, too.
Right. But here, you know, as far as your courts of justice, okay, they're the expounding on it. Well, as far as taking a life, it's 21:22. Okay, then 23.
Theft, negligence.
You what?
I thought you were going next. That would be theft.
Well, sure. By order of the judges, okay? And that's what he's coming to here in verse 22. You shall pay it by the order of judges. Well, judges means you've got courts of justice, judges. Any fatality, life for life, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, okay? Wound for wound. This is your courts of justice. This is talking about measure for measure. You don't slam somebody too hard for a violation, and you don't just walk away and let them off with a slap on the hand. Okay, this is all about being fair. And again, since this is in the wilderness, this is applicable on a global level. All right, this is not given inside the borders of any country, saying that it belongs to any one nation. This is in the wilderness of Sinai. What do you do if your ox does this? Well, this is how you handle it. Atonement, payment. Okay, if you dig a pit, an animal falls into it, well, this is how you make restitution. Okay? If you were negligent, didn't set up a border, theft, okay?
Yeah.
He's going into detail here.
John, welcome back.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you.
Do you have a final reading when the time comes? We're coming up on the top of the hour.
Do I have anything? Let me see what I got here.
I have something
have
for
anything?
just a second.
Go ahead, Rose. What do you got?
When I came back in the room and I was opening the Torah, I turned around, and the first place I opened up, why I asked Ross where he was on page 495 of our Gutnick here. And 23:1 stood out quite immensely. Do not listen to a false report. Do not associate with a wicked person who is making a false claim to be a corrupt witness.
Amen.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, that's nice.
Yep.
There you go. Do not confirm to the majority who are perverting justice. Do not condone a lawsuit in which justice is perverted by the majority.
In other words,
Do
don't
not
pull it.
accord honor, i.e., be biased towards a poor man in his lawsuit. And Ross, here's your one. If you come across your enemy's ox or his stray donkey, you must return it to him. Perhaps, if you see an enemy's donkey lying underneath its load, you would want to refrain from helping him. However, you must help him unload.
Yeah, because in that helping, the person that's really getting the most help is the guy that's got the hate.
Right. And it says, do not pervert the judgment of your poor man in his lawsuit. Distance yourself from anything false. Do not kill a convicted person if fresh evidence arises before his execution suggesting that he is innocent, or one who has been vindicated by the court, even if fresh evidence arises suggesting that he is guilty, for I will not let a guilty person escape punishment. Do not accept a bribe, for a bribe blinds the eyes of those who can see, i.e. Torah scholars, and that corrupts righteous words. Do not oppress a foreigner convert, for you know the feelings of a foreigner, since you were foreigners in the land of Egypt.
Foreigners, not converts.
Yep.
Garrett. Foreigner convert. It's interesting. It's both, but we have a hard time reconciling that.
No, I'm just saying, they were foreigners, they weren't converts.
Correct.
Well, I don't know if foreigner would be a good translation on that. What were you reading from that, Rose?
Good, Nick.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay.
497.
Yep.
All right, I have a little something here for the Torah, but it's very short for this week's Torah portion, so I'm going to read something a little bit after that. So this is for this week's Torah portion. For our Torah portion, Mishpatim begins with the detailing of the laws concerning a Jewish slave. If you, quote, if you buy a Hebrew slave, 6 years he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go free. And if the servant shall say, if the slave shall say, that was a tongue twister, I love my master, I do not want to go free, his master shall pierce his ear with an earring. If we are preoccupied, so he continues, this is his commentary. If we are preoccupied with our jobs for 6 days of the week, and then on the 7th rest, then we are labeled servants of servants. For a person who is involved with the material world and bodily pleasures can be compared to an indentured slave in our week's Parsha. Judaism teaches us that a Jewish person's true reason for existence is to worship God, to learn Torah, and to perform commandments. A Jew must never indenture himself to his job. When we realize that we are slaves to Hashem, we are then truly free. An exile, a Jew who remembers that he is a slave to Hashem will be freed from his personal exile and elevated above his constraints of the physical world. At the same time, in a larger sense, this action will hasten the conclusion of our long and difficult exile. So that was this week's. That was just a little commentary of this week's Torah portion. But I have here a letter that was written by the Lubavitcher Rebbe in 1970. So this was quite a long time ago. This was 50 years ago. It says here, this was actually for last week's Torah portion. So I hope you don't mind it, James, that I'm doing last week. Is that all right with you, James? All right, James gives us an okay.
Yes, go.
Okay. All right. Sorry. I just wanted to. Okay. I was pleased to receive your letter last week with the enclosures. For various reasons, I'm replying to your letter in English. One of them being that you may wish to show the letter to one of your friends in your community whom the Hebrew text may not be easy to read. So the Rebbe received the letter and he's writing back to this person. Referring to the main topic of your letter, namely discussing Yiddishkeit, Judaism, among Jewish women, I can hardly overemphasize this activity as one of the most basic, vile efforts of the general strengthening and the spreading of Judaism. The role of Jewish women in Jewish life goes back to the time of the giving of Torah, as well known from our commentaries as sages teach us, quote, "Thus shall you say to the house of Jacob and tell the children of Israel." The house of Jacob means women. In other words, before giving of Torah to the whole people of Israel, God told Moshe to approach the women and then the men to emphasize the primary role of Jewish women and mothers and their role in preserving the Torah. Ever since then, throughout the ages, Jewish women had a crucial role in the destiny of our people. And moreover, the Jewish housewife is called, I can't read it. It's in Yiddish. I can't read what the term is. He translates it as the foundation of the house. So a woman is considered a foundation of one's home. In addition to the plain meaning of the term, namely that she is the foundation of the home, the term may be extended to the whole house of Israel, the entire Jewish people, which is made up of individual homes and families. For indeed, this has been the historic role of women in Judaism. Being aware of the role of Jewish women in Jewish life, especially in the most recent generations, my father-in-law, blessed be his memory, frequently emphasized that this was immediately after, he says this immediately after his liberation from prison of a Soviet jail in 1927, when it became possible for him to publish his teachings and commentary of Torah. He published a number of discourses and commentaries in Yiddish in order to make it more accessible to Jewish women. There is no need to elaborate further, obviously, but in light of above, this has been the policy of Chabad. It is hardly likely that any Chabad worker would not be interested in this area, but there could only be a misunderstanding and the impressionation that women, don't have a proper role. He goes on. I'm gonna skip through a little bit. Needless to say that you may show this letter to whom it may concern. And then he writes, he brings out a verse from the Torah. So shall you fear God. Before the giving of Torah, the whole people of Israel, God told Moses to approach women. I was pleased to read your letter, and may God grant you the best in life, for there is no limit to your good. For there is no limit to good. Blah 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 blah. May God grant you good news and report. So that was just the end of the letter. I don't. He's just saying thank you for writing him. But I just wanted to bring that out because it's a big criticism that women don't get a proper role, and I thought that was pretty good that how he expanded upon that. And I didn't realize how big of a role last week's Torah portion, and because we were actually fighting last week about how to interpret this and that, and when was the time commandments given and all that. And we forgot the whole bigger picture that the women were the integral part of the giving of the Torah, and that Jews were redeemed from the slavery of Egypt because of the merits of women. and all that talks about last week's Parsha. So that's what I wanted to bring that up.
Thank you.
Perfect.
A woman's role in a man's life is to do what the man cannot do. Not to be equal with the man and what he can do, but to do what he cannot do.
All right. Coming up on the top of the hour, we're going to end it here. James the Idol Smasher at gmail.com is my email address if you want to get in touch with me about the Hangout. Of course, you can always join Google Plus and Facebook, the Nilvah Nexus. I'm James on behalf of John, Rosalie, and Ross. Shabbat Shalom. Y'all be well.
Shabbat Shalom.
Goodbye.